Welcome to Casual EDH. My name is Chris, and this will be the first upload to the channel, although it is not the first video I've recorded. I felt that I needed to have like a vision, mission / information about me type video, and I feel like that would make the most sense going up first, so here I am recording it. So about the channel itself, I want to discuss EDH / Commander in a more casual way. There's a lot of people who want to optimize everything and just make it be as big and strong as possible, or cheap and not as possible, or just want to make the jankiest or the most funniest, things like that. You know what? Some people just want to play the game, right? And that's kind of where I'm at. So I intend to try and be educational. I intend to be funny. I intend to be entertaining. I think I can at least hit the educational goal. We'll see about the other ones. But yeah, so that's the point of the channel here. As far as content, I intend to do deck techs, deep dives, cards you may have missed. I intend to do some pack openings where I discuss cards from the packs, things that maybe would not normally warrant a video on their own, but some passing mentions. It's just fun stuff you find in a booster pack. Not going to rush through a box of 36 packs. I might do like 6 packs or something in an episode just to find some fun stuff to talk about. Things like that. Probably will evolve from there. Hopefully get some gameplay in the future. But yeah, so as far as me, I have been playing Magic actively with one big pause since 2009. I did pause from like 2013, 2019, financial issues, just honestly some boredom with the game. It was going a lot of places I wasn't necessarily as enthused about. I started playing during Zendikar, so when we get to Theros, it's like, oh, this is what the power level of an actual Magic set's supposed to be. After going through like Scars and Phyrexia and Innistrad, where the power levels are just insane. You get to Ravnica and then Theros, you're just like, oh, okay, whatever. So, mixture with some financial issues, and I sold off most of my cards. I kept a few. Didn't keep any decks. Actually, no, that's not true. I did keep one deck because the deck itself was not worth selling. The singles, or even as a whole. I might show that as a fun thing at some point. It would be modern legal, but I would never play it. But yeah, so before that, I had played briefly in 1999. I actually bought a 99 starter pack and a couple of booster packs and played one game with a friend. And prior to that, I had done some off and on collecting since, like 99. I think I may have gotten some cards in 96. I don't remember all of that, to be completely fair, but, busy times. But yeah, so I came back in 2019. I came back mostly to invest and sell. But then I remembered I really like Commander. It's my favorite format. So I started making decks again. My very first one was Pure and Toothy. And you'll see that I put all these cards down here in a very specific order. These are all of my current personal Commander decks in the chronological order that I made them. Started off with Pure and Toothy because I'm Simic Scum at heart. And my most recent one is Jan Jansen because I wanted to give myself a bit of a handicap in building a deck. Mardu aren't my colors, and artifact strategies aren't really my thing. So I just kind of want to play around a bit. But yeah, so these are my personal commanders as they stand today. Let's see. So as far as anything else goes, really, I mean, I don't really have much more to say about that right now. That's just a brief history. I do intend to answer some questions, things I figure that people will probably ask. Although if I miss any, feel free to comment below, and I will go ahead and eventually make another video where I just answer more questions. But yeah, so then we're going to talk more about my history in depth now. So Carador here was my very first commander. My first deck I played was Kalia the Vast. I just played the Precon. But when I went to actually go make a deck, Carador was the card that said, hey, make a deck out of me. So that's what I did. The deck was super battle cruisery. Basically, I would just use Carador very sparingly. There were games where I would never even cast him. He was just an alternate way of getting a card out of my graveyard if I needed to. And the fact that he's basically 3 mana almost at any time you care about. No dredge, no self-mill, literally just play until you get to the end of the game there. I loved him enough that this was one of the maybe 30 or 40 cards I kept from when I quit before. He also didn't have any financial value. So, yeah. So this is actually the original commander I made. I want to say this was the second commander I built. I don't really know off the top of my head. Riku of Two Reflections. Carador may have been the first and may be my heart and soul when it comes to commander. Riku was the demon on my shoulder saying kill everyone. Deck was ridiculous. I think right now, if I were to take the cards that were in it and rebuild the deck, it would probably have the saltiest salt score without having an Armageddon in it. Simply because it was take extra turns, just basically play solitaire until I won the game. Super ridiculous. This right here is a Judge promo. I actually sold my original Riku, so I went and got a new one, and I'm like, if I'm going to do that, might as well get a Judge promo. Kind of regret that decision. I actually paid more for it than what it's worth now because of the reprint and double masters, but you know what? You don't see too many Judge promos around, so it's fine. Sometimes real cool trumps all. Going forward into the future, the next deck I plan on building is Magus Lucia Kane from the Warhammer decks. I love big flashy X spells. I really like being able to just be like, hey, 20 mana, let's do something, right? So she lets me do more of that. And honestly, I think it would be a fun play style. So she's gonna be the next build. I already have a lot of ideas for it. If you have any ideas, go ahead and list them down below. The next deck I'm going to build for online. So one of the things I do is I do resell cards, and one of the things I do for fun is also just a way to make more decks, because you can only have so many personal decks, I feel. Otherwise, you're kind of spreading yourself too thin. I already feel like I'm beyond that cap as it is. So I do make more budget builds to put onto eBay. I try and keep them low price so that they're affordable to people. And a lot of times, really what they are is just an outline for how the deck could be. So it's something you can play and then basically build into further on as you go. So the next deck I plan on building for eBay is Merkle. I have already cut down the cards down to like the final couple hundred. So I just need to pare down from there and add lands and it's good to go. I might actually do a video on that just straight up just to show my process and how I cut down for a deck. These are commanders I think are problematic. Korvold and Aura. I actually had a Korvold deck right when those Brawl decks first came out. I dismantled it because it's just too strong. If you've never played against a Korvold deck, you don't know why they're problematic. There's one guy locally in our meta who still plays Korvold. A lot of other people kind of went away from it for the same reason that I did. He still plays it, and they're like 30-minute turns. A lot of times it's playing solitaire. I'm like, if I want to do that, I would just make Riku. So I pulled him apart. Aura, if you have not played against an Aura deck, full cleric build, double death triggers, shenanigans, congratulations. You've lived a better life than I have. I actually brought this heck upon myself by introducing this to the local meta, and I pulled my deck apart. Other people did not, so, sometimes you just have to suffer your own sins. But when it comes down to it, Aura is just so brutal at times. If you don't know why, let me know. If there's actually interest, I'll talk about the basics of the deck and how it works and why it's like 30-minute turns and shenanigans. But I'm not going to do that unless there's actual interest for it, because honestly, I kind of just want to be done with the card, to be completely fair. A card that I want to always put into decks, but I don't because it's salty, Armageddon. This is my original copy of Armageddon that I picked up. This is a Portal 2 one. I just like the art on it, and it's black border as opposed to all the reprints with this art or white border. People just find it super salty. I used to just run it with indestructibility, so I got to keep my lands or face rewards so I can get them back, float them in and then just bring them back after they get destroyed. Other people aren't fond of that, so I stopped doing it, because sometimes it's all about, not just about you having fun, it's about the people you play with having fun. If they don't have fun playing against you, then they're just going to stop playing against you. So I feel like you just have to make some exceptions. If I was going into a tournament thing, like an actual like Commander tournament, or going to like a public event for Commander, I'm probably going to be putting Armageddon or another salty type cards in the decks, because that's competitive, right? But I don't like to play competitive as much. I like to play casual. Don't let the CEDH in my name confuse you. I'm casual. See, that's a joke. Anyway, my view on proxies. I think they're fine. I think that if you do proxy a card, you should own a copy of the original. And the reason for that is I think part of the strategy of Magic is also in acquiring the cards. I know there's a lot of people who are going to disagree with me on that, and that's fine. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinions. But I feel like part of the game is in the acquisition of the cards. But once you've acquired the card and you just want to use it in decks, sometimes there's just cards that are too expensive to put into a deck. Like, I proxy my dual lands. I don't want to play like a $1,000 card in my deck where it can get damaged, even double sleeved and whatnot. So those are safely in binders. I use proxies for those. And then sometimes, like, I have 4 doubling seasons, but I have 5 decks that need doubling seasons, so I proxy one of them, because I'm not going to go out and get another $80 card. Things like that. It's the reason why I don't play Gaia's Cradle, because I do not personally own a copy of Gaia's Cradle, so I don't bother proxying it. But when I do eventually get a copy of it, you can bet I'm going to proxy it for a few of my decks. But remember, proxies always come down to rule 0. Discuss it with your pod, see if they're okay with it, under any circumstance, and then go from there. Card I believe that should be unbanned, Primeval Titan. There have been so many changes in the game the past few years that I don't think Primeval Titan is nearly as strong as it used to be. I think it's still solid, and I would really like to play it in some decks. But I mean, even right now, I'm recording this during Brothers War spoiler, so they've spoiled Titania's command, which is 6 mana, search your deck for 2 lands, put them into play as one of the options on it. A lot of times Primeval Titan ends up being a sorcery, so all you really get is the two lands. You don't usually get too many more benefits from it. And if people can't interact with it, that's their fault. So I don't really see why it's banned. I think there's definitely significantly more problematic cards, even for land search and land find. Like, if you're really worried about Primeval Titan, then why is Scape Shift allowed? That's just my arguments. Take them as you will. Card that I think should be banned. I don't think there's any specific cards. I'm not going to say I think this card should be banned. I think there are certain types of cards that are detracting from the game. I think they hurt the game as a whole. I'm going to throw a Triumph of the Hordes out here, but I just want to say the Infect mechanic is bad for Commander as far as I'm concerned. It has a very low floor as far as being able to take someone out. People don't feel good being infected out. I know a lot of people don't even feel good infecting people out. I would rather see a Crater Hoof, because at least a Crater Hoof, you have to have enough creatures on the board to make it strong enough to defeat someone. And then, of course, there's strategies like life gain and stuff, whereas Infect, it doesn't look good. And, like, when I watch people play online, and I see people infecting people out, I find that I don't enjoy watching those games either. So if people don't like playing against it, a lot of people don't like playing it, and a lot of people don't like watching it. Why is it still in the format? Like, it's just, I don't know. Take it as you will. I just don't think it's very good or engaging of a mechanic for it, and I feel like any card with Infect really doesn't need to be in the game. So now we're going to talk about some of my card acquisitions. So my most recent card purchased, Survival of the Fittest. I cannot wait to get proxies of this card so I can put it into a couple of my decks. This actual copy of it is not going into a deck. It's going to go into a binder because it's a bit of an expensive card. It took me... I've always wanted a copy of Survival of the Fittest, and I just only recently got into a position where I could actually justify getting one. So it's a very happy moment for me to be able to do that. To have the money that I can just justify putting into that one card. I will say that what happened was I just culled my collection of a lot of 50-cent $1 cards, put them in for store credit with one of the sites, and then use the store credit to get Survival of the Fittest. So this Survival of the Fittest is probably from like 400, 500 uncommons, to be completely honest. But I'm just happy I could finally do that, right? And I'm finally happy I get to play the card. There's just so many shenanigans you can do with it. I think it's fun. I don't think it's completely broken. So I can't wait. It's going to be great. First card I ever got. So this one's debatable. There's a potential I got some cards before I got this one, but I actually think I got this one before I got the other ones. So I think this card basically triggered the fact that I might want Magic cards, and then I think I bought a lot, but there is a chance I bought the lot first, and if I did, well, okay, I apologize. Maybe a little bit more technical of an answer than you need, but here we go. Lightning Hounds, Foil, Mercadian Masks. This was a promo in Inquest magazine. I was getting Inquest magazines for Pokemon cards, and sometimes you would have a Magic promo in it, and one of the first ones I got had a Lightning Hounds promo. I think they were showing off foils, because I want to say the Mercadian Mask was the first set with foils. If I'm wrong, just feel free to destroy me on that one. That's fine. Otherwise, they just really wanted to show off, I don't know, First Strike? I don't know. I just remember the promos were trying to show off things from the set, and I want to say in this case, they're showing off foils. I don't remember my very first, one of my first purchases was a lot of maybe 200-300 cards off someone. Very beat up. They were revised and things like that. For $6 or $7, and I think I bought that because Lightning Hounds brought Magic to my attention. So that's where I get the confusion, because I don't remember if I got those first and then Lightning Hounds, or Lightning Hounds was the reason why I bought them. I don't have any of those cards left. I do still have the Lightning Hounds. This is the very first one I actually got, so we'll just say it's the first one I have. Oldest Magic card I have. Not the oldest one that I've owned, because obviously that is most likely Lightning Hounds here. But the oldest Magic card I have, Alpha Fire Elemental. Yeah, nothing's too special about this. It was on an online retailer. It was $5, 2011 or so. I just wanted to have something from Alpha, so I searched out Alpha cards. I narrowed it down to a few that were inexpensive I could pick up with an order. I like the art from the Fire Elemental. You don't see art like that anymore. It's kind of spicy. Not Earthbind spicy, which Magic 30, but I actually do have a revised Earthbind somewhere. But I really like the art from Fire Elemental, so I picked that one up. So this is my only Alpha card. I don't have any Beta cards at all. But yeah, I'm very happy with that one. First rare I purchased. Or not purchased, but first rare from a booster pack I opened. So when Plane Shift was coming out, they spoiled the art for the cards. And there was one card I'm like, oh my god, that is amazing art. I want that. No other reason. I wasn't collecting Magic cards very heavily at that point. I just had, again, just basically the Lightning Hounds, a couple of promos, and then that pack I bought. But I decided I'd actually go buy booster packs because I really wanted this one. I didn't know where to go buy singles. So I bought 2 Plane Shift booster packs. The second one had a Coalition Victory, which I still have, but I can't play it. But the first one actually had the card that I wanted, which was amazing. And that, of course, is Draco. You cannot tell me that there's... I mean, there are better arts. There's a lot of cards with a lot of good arts, especially once you start taking into account people being able to... they know how foiling works, so they can work that into the art before it gets printed. So you have some foiling that looks really nice. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But just, this is amazing, and the effort that had to go into making this. I'm pretty sure this was just a straight-up painting. It's a beautiful card. And I'm actually running it in my Ur-Dragon deck because I want to have a place to put it. Is it the most optimal card? No. Still running it. First single cards I purchased. These ones, I bought them together, so they're the same. So after I got Draco, I'm like, I want some more dragons. There was a craft fair at a local mall, and there was someone there selling Magic cards. So I decided, hey, sure, let's go take a look at the cards. So I picked up a couple of dragons. I got a Shivan Dragon, and this one is 4th edition. and a Catacomb Dragon, which is, of course, Mirage. I just bought them because I thought they looked cool, especially the Catacomb Dragon. The Shivan Dragon, I didn't think that was quite as cool, but it had a lot of name recognition. Catacomb Dragon just looked amazing. I wanted to put these into the Dragon deck as well, just, for funsies. But I really only had one spot left, and it went to Draco. So, yeah, that's it. Nothing too special there. So then, of course, I had my absence from Magic, and I wanted to showcase a couple cards that were printed during my absence. That I came back, I'm like, whoa, those are ridiculous, right? Liliana, Dreadhorde General, and Teferi's Protection. When I came back, I had to learn a lot of cards. And Liliana was ridiculous compared to the meta that I had left. Like, you put that in the meta that I had left, and that would have just been broken as heck. Still a very good card. I understand its power level a bit better now. I still love the card. Obviously, that's a stained glass one from the Secret Lair. I did not get it when it was like $200. I got it from the Demon bargain one, so it ended up being like a $10 card at the time. Whatever. Teferi's Protection, though, just one of the best protection cards in the game. I guess its name is on the tin, right? But I can't believe they printed a card like that. That's just ridiculous. However, the most broken card. This is the card that I look at and I go, I can't believe they printed this. Now, it's easy to say, like, oh my gosh, Black Lotus, how did they ever print that? Or Time Vault or Time Twister or things like that. It's like, how did they print those cards? But they knew kind of the power level of those cards when they printed them. I don't think they knew the power level of this card when they printed it. And it's also in a color that seems kind of weird for it. And honestly, I don't know who got hurt that they decided to print this card. I thank them for it because it's just amazing, but I still cannot believe that this card was printed. Smothering Tithe. Like, for real, who printed that? There's only one card that I could look at and go, maybe it deserved printing even less, and that's Dockside Extortionist. Treasure is such shenanigans. There's not really much more to say about it, right? So this next card I want to talk about answers the question, what's the most precious card to me? Sometimes when you play a game for long enough, you do get cards that are sentimental for one reason or another. This is actually an extremely recent card, but it's doubling season, and specifically it's this card, not this art, not this set, this particular card. Doubling Season's always been one of my favorite cards. Back from when I originally played, I hated it the first time I saw it, but then I actually played it. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. Green is my color, in general. So, I got a thing for Doubling Season. So I come back to the game, and when Double Masters was being printed, I saw this, and I saw the art form. I'm like, I really want that. I bought a lot of Double Masters. I couldn't crack it. I did crack a foil Force of Will from the box toppers. But I couldn't get the Doubling Season, and the worst part was I couldn't even turn that Force of Will into a Doubling Season. I couldn't get anyone to trade for it. Vendors people locally weren't selling it. I could get it online, but it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me to do that. I also had some financial issues pop up right after I bought all this Double Masters. So I just basically thought I just wasn't going to get the card. But my wife was kind enough, when she knew that I really wanted the card, I point out, like, I would love to have that card. She made it happen. So this is actually a card that she gave me specifically. She bought it for my birthday. It's a card that I'll never trade. I will never sell it. It's going to have to be some kind of disaster that takes it away from me. I'm just going to keep this, to the end of time, basically. Yeah. And actually, right now I'm playing at my Gira deck, because for my token decks, my Gira deck is my favorite, and I wanted to make sure it got played and used and enjoyed by other people. So that's my Doubling Season. Less sentimentally, I want to talk about cards that just have some amazing art. So I think this Inferno Titan and this Blightsteel are kind of like the runners-up for that. This Inferno Titan, specifically the foil one, the way the foiling works with the art, I was talking about that earlier, how sometimes foiling can make the art better. The foiling works with this art really amazingly, because it gives it that pop, especially since it's supposed to be like a giant fire elemental. I think all of these Secret Lairs, the Kaldheim Titan ones, are just amazing. Croxa is so good too. But I think this Inferno Titan just is a little bit better from a technical standpoint. Just an amazing art. And then this Blightsteel Colossus, it's high contrast. It's got super nice background. The kind of comic book style art really pops out on it. I think it's got good subject matter. It's got great positioning. It's got a lot of things going for it. I just love it. But there's one card I like the art for more. Maybe just because it's a little bit more classic. And honestly, I think this is also my most expensive Magic card. I'm pretty sure this is my most expensive Magic card that I own. And that's Demonic Tutor. So specifically, this is the Japanese Strixhaven art. It's just amazing. This is a foil copy of it, which is, I think, what really makes it pop as much. It's hard to see on this camera right here, but it has a lot of negative space in the background, and that makes the foil make the foreground pop even more, because there's just so much foiling on it that it makes the black and the red really pop out. The subject matter is great. Japanese woodcut art is just really nice to begin with. I think they blew this one out of the water. So if you're talking about purely art, I think that's an amazing card. And then also the fact that it's Demonic Tutor. I mean, Demonic Tutor is one of the best cards ever printed that's kind of legal. Yeah, no, it's a great card. This is one I don't let out of my binder. This is actually the first, since I put it into my binder, this is the first time I've taken it out for this video. I just leave it in there to look really nice. However, you'll notice there's one thing I said there, and that was I think this is my most expensive Magic card. If you were to ask me what the most expensive card I have is, it's not Magic. I have to find out. I don't know the exact price of this card. It does depend on how it grades, although I think it would grade as a PSA 9, BGS 9. But I'd have to double check that, because this is one of those cards they're going to be very particular about. The most expensive card that I own, to my knowledge, is this Pikachu. We're going to end a Magic video with a Pikachu, folks. It makes sense, I promise. If someone's actually interested in the history of this card, they're not aware of it, I can make a short for it. But this is a base set Red Cheek First Edition Pikachu. There's so much going on about it. This is one of the most expensive cards in Pokemon from the base set. Even when you talk about first editions, and there's a reason for that. There are only a few cards that are more expensive than it. Yeah, I mean that's all there is to it. So here we go. I answered some questions about my cards using my cards. So I hope everyone enjoyed this introduction. This is a little bit, thick. There's a lot of information here, but it's the very first video. I just want to make sure everyone knew about me and my goals. So hopefully you know a bit more about me and where I'm coming from here. And I just want to thank you for staying till the end, if indeed you still are. Have a good one.